You ever get that feeling in your gut that something's off, but you can't quite put your finger on it? That was me, Lucas, 27, sitting in my apartment a few days before Christmas, staring at my wallet like it had personally betrayed me. I don't normally carry that much cash, but I'd just withdrawn $3,000 in crisp hundreds to give my landlord a final cash payment for the year. I like doing that. Old school, clean break, done and dusted. But when I went to grab the envelope from my desk drawer to head out, it was gone. Not a trace. Not even a bent corner or a stray bill. And here's the thing. I live alone. At first, I thought maybe I'd misplaced it. Maybe I left it in a jacket pocket or accidentally brought it with me to the gym. I tore the place apart. Every drawer, under every cushion, inside old grocery bags, even the freezer because who knows, maybe I blacked out and stuck it next to the frozen peas. But no, it was just gone. $3,000. Poof. I paced the apartment for hours that night, replaying every second of the past few days. Had anyone been over? No. I'd been working long hours at the auto shop, only really taking time off to grab groceries or crash at night. I called my landlord, apologized, and wired him the rent directly from my savings. That stung. It was money I'd earmarked to take a break in January, drive up to the mountains for a few days, clear my head. Now it was just gone. Still, I brushed it off. Kind of. I mean, what else was I going to do? Call the cops and say, hey, I think my cash just disappeared into thin air. Life moves on. Christmas was coming, and I figured I'd just let it go. Not worth ruining the holidays over something I couldn't even prove. Until Christmas dinner. Every year, we do a big family gathering at my parents' place. It's a little chaotic. My older brother Ryan brings his loud opinions, his even louder wife, and their 2 kids who seem to think furniture is for jumping off. My younger sister, Katie, usually shows up late with some boyfriend of the month and spends most of the night scrolling on her phone. And me? I just eat, keep my head down, and try not to get pulled into family politics. But this year felt different. Tense, somehow. Like everyone was in on a joke I hadn't heard yet. My mom was especially sugary sweet when she hugged me at the door, commenting on how tired I looked and how I always worked too hard, which is mom code for, why are you still single and not giving me grandbabies? I smiled, played along, handed over the wine I brought, and settled into the evening. The food was great, as always. My dad had gone full grill master in December again, and the kitchen smelled like rosemary and roast beef. We laughed about Katie's latest Tinder disaster, groaned at Ryan's rant about inflation, and I was just starting to feel like maybe I could enjoy the night without thinking about that missing money when it happened. After dessert, Ryan stood up and tapped his glass like we were at a wedding. I just want to say, he began, holding court with the confidence of someone who's never questioned a single opinion he's ever had, how grateful I am for family, especially this year. It's been tough for a lot of people, but family helps family. That's what matters. I didn't think much of it at first. Typical Ryan. Always got a speech ready, especially if he thinks there's applause at the end. But then he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small, shiny box. The kind of box you see in jewelry stores behind glass and security locks. He walked over to Dad and handed it to him. Merry Christmas, old man. Dad opened the box and his eyes widened. Ryan, is this the Omega Seamaster you were eyeing last year? Ryan grinned. $2, $9.95 retail, but you're worth every penny. Everyone gasped. My mom clapped like it was the finale of a game show. Katie let out a dramatic, no freaking way. Ryan's wife beamed proudly, and Dad was already sliding the watch onto his wrist, saying how it felt like a second skin. And me? I just sat there, stunned. $3,000. Exactly. I didn't say anything. Just watched Ryan like I was watching a stranger in my house. I mean, Ryan works, sure, but he's not exactly flush with cash. Last I heard, he was juggling some debt, had a kid in daycare, and was complaining about gas prices. And now he's buying luxury watches for fun? My stomach twisted. I knew exactly where that money came from. And then, like rubbing salt into a wound, Ryan turned toward me, raised his glass, and said, some of us go the extra mile for family. That's what being a real man is about. The room laughed, not at me, but around me. Like I was invisible. Like I was the footnote in their perfect little holiday. But I smiled. I smiled so wide my jaw hurt. Because in that moment, everything locked into place. His sudden generosity, the smug tone, the fake humility, the speech, the timing. He took it. He stole my money, gave it to Dad, and then wrapped himself in a halo like he was the family savior. Like I was just some tired grease monkey at the end of the table, watching greatness unfold. But what he didn't know was that he'd made a mistake. A big one. Because I wasn't just smiling out of shock. I was already planning what to do next. And trust me, I wasn't going to let this slide. Not this time. I didn't sleep that night. I went home from Christmas dinner with the image of that Omega watch seared into my mind, glinting under the kitchen lights like a trophy won at my expense. The house had roared with laughter after Ryan's toast, and every cheer, every clink of a glass, echoed in my head like a taunt. I kept thinking back to his exact words, "Some of us go the extra mile for family," and the smug little look he gave me right after he said it. Like he knew I wouldn't say anything. Like he counted on it. He wasn't wrong. Growing up, Ryan always got away with everything. He was the golden child, no matter what he did. He got caught joyriding at 16. Boys will be boys. Failed out of his first semester at college. He's just figuring things out. Meanwhile, I was the one who kept my head down, fixed things when they broke, paid my way through trade school, and helped Dad with yard work every weekend. But somehow, I was always too serious, or too sensitive, or not fun like your brother. I let a lot of things slide over the years. For peace. For family. For my own sanity. But this? Stealing $3,000 from me, and then using it to make me look like the lesser son? No. This time, I wasn't brushing it off. The next morning, I started digging. I checked my security camera app. I don't have full-on CCTV in my apartment, but I'd recently installed a small motion-activated camera near the entrance, mostly because of some package theft in the building. I hadn't reviewed the footage in weeks. Honestly, I kind of forgot it even stored data that long. But after scrolling back through the files and cross-referencing timestamps from work, something strange popped up. 3 days before Christmas, 2:17 p.m. While I was at the shop, the camera caught someone entering using a spare key. I couldn't see their face, just a dark hoodie and jeans. But the figure moved quickly, confidently, heading straight toward the back hallway. Like they knew exactly where to go. That key had been missing for over a year. I kept it in a junk drawer, and one day it was just gone. I figured I'd lost it in the move. Never replaced it because I never thought anyone would actually use it. But now I knew who had it. I called Katie. She always had the best memory in the family and wasn't nearly as loyal to Ryan as the rest. In fact, she kind of hated him, called him a walking ego in cargo pants. I figured if anyone had noticed something, it would be her. "Katie, random question," I said, trying to sound casual. "Do you remember if Ryan ever had one of my apartment keys?" She paused. I think. "Yeah. A while ago, Mom said you left a spare at their place before you moved out, and Ryan pocketed it." I asked him why he had it, and he just shrugged. What? I didn't answer her. I just let that sink in. It all made sense. Ryan had the key. Ryan knew I pulled cash every December for rent. Ryan knew my schedule better than I realized. Hell, I'd mentioned working late that day in the family group chat. He walked into my place like it was his own, took the envelope, and walked out without a trace. And then he dressed the whole thing up like a Christmas miracle. And here's the kicker. He didn't need to do it. He could have gotten Dad a tie, or a book, or nothing at all. But he wanted the moment. He wanted the applause. He wanted to make me look small. And he succeeded. For now. After that call, something in me snapped. Not loudly, not all at once, but quietly. A shift. I stopped brushing things off. Stopped giving him the benefit of the doubt. I went silent in the group chat, ignored my mom's "Can you send photos from dinner?" texts, and started watching Ryan like a hawk. I spent the next few days collecting everything I could. I found the receipt for the Omega, posted proudly by Ryan's wife on Instagram, complete with a blurry pic of the watch box and the caption, $3K, well spent. I zoomed in. Bottom corner of the receipt poking out. Timestamp matched the day after the break-in. I downloaded the camera footage and backed it up. I even went as far as checking the audio files from our Christmas dinner. Katie had set her phone to record part of it, so she could make a TikTok later. I got the audio clip of Ryan saying, "Family helps family," and Dad responding, "Wow, must have set you back $3,000," with Ryan laughing and confirming, "Worth every penny. Every penny of my money." Still, I wasn't sure what to do with it all yet. I could have gone nuclear right then. Sent the footage. Exposed him in the group chat. Confronted him outright. But something held me back. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was the fact that I wanted the right moment. Not just any moment. Or maybe I just wanted him to feel what I felt. The betrayal. The disbelief. The sick realization that someone you grew up with could look you in the eye while holding a knife behind their back. And then came the second slap. New Year's Eve. I wasn't planning to go. After the Christmas dinner incident, I figured I'd lay low. But Mom texted saying Dad really wanted all three of us there. Said it would mean a lot. I almost ignored it. Almost. But some part of me wanted to see Ryan again. Face to face. Not out of anger. Yet. But just to confirm he was still walking around like he owned the world. I got there late. The house was packed with family friends, neighbors, people I didn't even recognize. My dad was already a few drinks in, swaying slightly while telling some long-winded story about his college days. Ryan was in the kitchen, center of attention as usual, holding court like he was running for office. "Lucas," he called out the second he saw me. "There he is, the man of the hour." The what? I barely had time to ask before he slapped a hand on my back and grinned at the crowd. "This guy right here, man, hardest working dude I know. He's been helping me out a ton lately." "What?" "Didn't want to brag," he continued, looking smug. "But Lucas actually lent me some cash this month. Real generous of him." The room chuckled. Someone shouted, "Must be nice to have a rich brother." Another voice added, "Man, I need a Lucas in my family." I stood there, jaw tight, as Ryan gave me that same smirk he wore at Christmas dinner. He was mocking me. No, worse. He was claiming the theft as some kind of personal favor I'd offered him, painting himself as both the grateful son and the generous brother, all while making me look like some silent partner in his delusion. That was it. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just about money. It wasn't even about the watch. This was about power, control, image. Ryan wasn't just stealing from me. He was stealing credit. He was rewriting the story in real time, turning my silence into submission. And the longer I let it go, the more people would believe his version. I left that party before midnight. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't grab a plate. Just walked out into the freezing air with my heart thudding and my hands shaking. He crossed the line. I spent the first week of January planning. And then, just when I thought I had seen the worst of it, my mom called me. Not to check in. Not to apologize. But to ask if I'd be willing to help Ryan out again. Apparently, he'd hinted that he was struggling to catch up on bills after being so generous over the holidays, and Mom wanted to know if I could maybe float him a bit more until spring. Float him. Float him. The man who stole from me, lied to me, humiliated me, and my mother wanted me to help him again. I didn't even respond. I just let the silence hang until she muttered, "You don't have to be so cold, Lucas," and hung up. That was the moment I felt it. Not anger. Not sadness. Clarity. I realized then that my family didn't see me. Not really. I was the quiet one. The fixer. The background character in their story. The one they could ask for favors, forget to invite, praise behind my back, but never to my face. And Ryan? He was the hero. The prodigal son. The golden boy who could do no wrong. Even when he was stealing from his own brother. But not for much longer. Because if they wanted to write me out of the story, they'd have to get through the ending I was about to write first. And let's just say, I had plans. I didn't speak to anyone for 2 weeks after that phone call with my mom. Not Katie. Not Dad. Definitely not Ryan. I didn't respond to texts, didn't pick up calls, and when my mom emailed me some inspirational quote about the importance of forgiveness, I didn't even open it. I wasn't angry anymore. That would have been easier, honestly. Anger has heat to it, and heat gives you something to hold on to. But what I felt was colder than that. Numb almost. Like the final thread that had tied me to my family had quietly snapped, and I hadn't even realized how frayed it was until it was gone. And that's when the silence really hit. I'd spent most of my adult life trying to prove I was reliable, that I could be counted on, that I didn't need to shout to be heard. But the truth was, I'd been shouting all along, just more quietly. Showing up, fixing things, saying yes when I wanted to say no, staying late to help Dad replace the deck, letting Mom vent about Ryan's latest drama, giving Katie rides after her car died. Little things, endless things. But none of it ever changed the way they saw me. Not really. And now that I'd stopped, no one noticed. The first week of January passed, then the second. No one called just to check on me. No one asked how I was doing. I wasn't angry about it. I just finally saw it for what it was. I'd been convenient, a background character in their little drama. And now that I'd stepped out of frame, the scene went on without me. It should have broken me. And for a while, it almost did. I'd go to work at the auto shop, come home, heat up leftovers, and just sit. Not sad, not energized, just drifting. I even started skipping the gym, which I hadn't done since I was 23 and broke my ankle. I stopped shaving, stopped replying to group texts from friends. At one point, I spent 3 straight hours watching condensation drip down a window pane like it held the secrets of the universe. That was probably the low point. But here's the thing about rock bottom. It's a foundation. Once you hit it, there's nowhere to go but up. Slowly, quietly, one brick at a time. And for me, that first brick came in the form of a phone call. Not from my family. From Dave, the guy who owned the shop where I worked. He was blunt as always. "You okay, man? You look like someone ran over your dog." "Yeah, I lied. Just tired." "You've been just tired for a month. Either you're depressed, or you've joined a fight club and you're too tired to swing." I snorted. It was the first time I'd laughed in weeks. "You know," he continued, "you ever thought about opening your own place?" That stopped me cold. "What? You're good," he said, matter of fact. "Clients like you. You're organized. You don't cut corners. You don't complain. I've had 3 customers ask if you do side gigs. You've got a reputation." I blinked. "I mean, yeah, I've done some stuff on the side. Oil changes, detailing." "You've got the work ethic," he said. "You just need the guts." That conversation stuck with me. I'd always joked about opening my own garage one day, but it felt like a pipe dream. Like something guys say over beers and never follow through on. But the idea, it lingered. And suddenly, I wasn't just drifting anymore. I had something to think about. Something that wasn't my brother or my family or that damn watch. I started researching during lunch breaks. How much it would cost to lease a small unit. What kind of equipment I'd need. Startup loans. Zoning permits. I stayed up late watching videos about other guys who started out with just a few tools and built 6-figure repair businesses from scratch. It wasn't about money. It was about building something that was mine. No one could take credit. No one could reframe the narrative. No one could walk in and twist it into some family fairy tale. And it felt good. Really good. One night, I found an old spiral notebook in a drawer, left over from my trade school days, and started jotting down ideas. A logo. A name. Precision Auto was the first one I liked, but it felt too generic. Lucas Garage felt a little too self-indulgent. But then I thought of something my dad used to say when I was a kid, back when he actually paid attention to me. Good mechanics don't fix cars. They earn trust. So I scribbled down, earned. Simple, clean, honest. It felt right. Over the next few weeks, I kept working. Quietly. I saved every dollar I could. Took extra shifts. Started saying yes to more side gigs. Detailing, battery swaps, even home service calls for people who couldn't get to the shop. I drove out to one guy's farm 40 minutes away just to patch up a busted axle. By the time I left, he handed me a $200 tip and said, "You're going to go far, kid." For the first time in a long time, I believed it. Meanwhile, my family stayed silent. Katie posted Instagram stories from her ski trip with Connor number 5. Mom uploaded throwback photos captioned, "So blessed." And Ryan. Well, Ryan posted a video of him clinking glasses with Dad, the Omega front and center on his wrist. No one asked where I was, and I was done waiting for them to. In mid-February, I found a tiny garage for lease 20 minutes outside the city. Nothing fancy. 2 bays. Cracked concrete floors. Old signage from the previous owner still hanging above the entrance. Mix auto. But the bones were good. And the rent? Reasonable. I toured it after work one day. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the lot, and I just stood there, imagining what it could become. A real business. My business. I took a photo. I didn't send it to anyone. It was just for me. By March, I'd pulled together enough for the first and last month's rent. Dave gave me his blessing, even offered to sell me some used equipment for cheap. "Consider it a down payment on your future," he said, shaking my hand. I didn't realize how emotional that would make me feel, having someone believe in me without a hidden agenda. I signed the lease on a Thursday. That night, I opened a fresh page in my old notebook and wrote, "Day 1, Earn Garage is real." I slept better than I had in months. The next few weeks were a blur. I cleaned out the bays, painted the walls, bought a pressure washer off Craigslist, and spent way too much money on a decent compressor. But it felt right. Like I was finally building something that couldn't be taken from me. And the best part? I didn't tell my family. Not out of spite. Out of peace. Because this wasn't about proving them wrong anymore. This was about proving me right. Still, I won't lie. Some part of me wanted them to find out. To see what I'd built without them. To realize they'd ignored the one son who never asked for anything but gave everything. To watch their golden child squirm when he realized I was no longer in the background. But I was patient. Because revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, methodical, slow. And sometimes, the best way to win is to build something so undeniable they can't ignore it anymore, even if they want to. But fate? Fate had other plans. Because just when I thought I'd found peace, a message popped up on my phone. From Katie. Just 5 words. You need to see this. The message from Katie sat on my lock screen for a solid minute before I even unlocked the phone. I just stared at it. You need to see this. I hadn't heard from her in weeks. Not since our brief conversation about the spare key. Not since Christmas dinner imploded silently in my chest and took every thread of family loyalty down with it. So for her to suddenly reach out now? Yeah, I felt it in my gut. This wasn't going to be a check-in. I opened the message. It was a screenshot. A Facebook post from Ryan's wife. Proud of my man. Ryan just landed a new consulting gig. Big boy moves coming. Attached to it was a photo. Ryan in a cheap suit. Clearly taken in their kitchen, arms crossed like he was on the cover of Forbes. But what caught my attention wasn't the post. It was a comment, just a few down from the top. Uncle David, congrats. Didn't know you were still doing consulting. Thought you were having money issues with that loan you took from Lucas. I froze. I hadn't told anyone about that. Because I never gave him a loan. I never said a word about the theft. Never corrected the lie he spun at New Year's. But clearly, Ryan was running with the narrative. And not just within the family. He was expanding it. Building a reputation on a foundation made out of my silence. Telling people that I'd helped him out, that he was bouncing back, and that I had lent him $3,000. My chest burned. That sick feeling crawled up the back of my neck again. But this time it wasn't helpless. It was fuel. I called Katie. She picked up on the first ring. You saw it. Oh, I saw it. I said, keeping my voice steady. I wasn't sure if I should send it, she admitted. But after everything, it felt gross. Like he's using your name to make himself look good. He is. There was a beat of silence between us. You're gonna do something, aren't you? She asked. I didn't answer right away, but I already knew the answer. Yeah, I was going to do something. And this time, I was going to do it right. Revenge isn't about blowing things up in one glorious moment of rage. It's about precision, timing, control. And now, for the first time in my life, I had all 3. The first thing I did was set the stage. By now, Earned Garage was officially open. The paperwork was processed. Business account set up. I even had a clean little logo stenciled onto the garage door in deep navy paint, with the tagline underneath, "Trust isn't given. It's earned." Every time I opened that garage in the morning, I felt like I was breathing deeper. And the work started coming in. Word of mouth spread fast, especially with the help of a few loyal customers from Dave's shop who were happy to follow me over. Dave himself even gave me a shout out on Facebook and sent a couple referrals my way. I wasn't rolling in money yet, but I was making enough to keep the lights on and slowly build a reputation. I stayed quiet about it publicly. No flashy social posts. No boasting. I didn't want my family catching wind of it yet. Not until I was ready. That came soon enough. In early April, Katie texted me again. FYI, Ryan's throwing a birthday party for Dad next weekend. Some kind of special celebration. You're invited. I laughed. Of course I was. It was perfect. A party. At Ryan's place. A chance to gather the entire extended family in one space, under the pretense of celebrating Dad, and the golden boy would be hosting. The same golden boy who stole from me, spun a lie, and rode it straight into self-made legend status. And now, everyone would be there. Laughing, toasting, listening. It would be the perfect place to show them who he really was. But I wasn't going to walk in and shout. That's not how I work. I needed to be strategic. So I started gathering evidence. Over the next few days, I pieced together the full timeline. The security footage from my hallway, clear timestamp, clear break-in. The receipt photo from Ryan's wife's Instagram, same date, matching value. The audio from Christmas dinner. Katie sent me the full file. I clipped the part where Ryan said, "Some of us go the extra mile for family," followed by Dad saying, "Must have cost you $3,000," and Ryan laughing and saying, "Worth every penny." I also printed out a copy of my bank statement from December, showing the withdrawal. And then I printed out a new one, this one from April, showing a deposit, because I'd finally gotten back on my feet financially. More than that, I was ahead. My little shop, it was starting to thrive. I'd saved enough that the money Ryan stole from me had finally been replaced. And now it was time to use it, not for revenge, for leverage. The next step was Katie. I met her at a coffee shop a few days before the party. She looked tired, maybe from school, maybe from years of being overlooked like me. But when she saw the folder I placed on the table, her eyes widened. "This is all from your apartment?" "Yep." She flipped through the photos, the printed screenshots, the audio transcript. Her mouth pressed into a hard line. "This is messed up," she whispered. "Like, criminally messed up." I nodded. "You really going to show this at the party?" "Not exactly." Katie looked at me, confused. "Then what?" "I'm going to let him show it." I explained my plan. She didn't interrupt once. And when I was done, she sat back and smiled for the first time in weeks. "Damn," she said. "You earned that one." The party was exactly what I expected. Ryan's house was done up like a mid-tier wedding venue. Balloons, streamers, a giant "Happy Birthday, Dad" banner that somehow managed to include a hashtag. Ryan greeted people at the door like a hotel concierge, shaking hands and pointing toward the drink station. I showed up exactly 15 minutes late. Calculated. Enough to draw attention without seeming like I wanted it. Ryan greeted me with his usual fake warmth. "Look who showed up. Man, we were just talking about you." "I bet you were," I said with a polite smile. I handed him a small gift bag. Inside, just a mug that said #1 Dad. Harmless. Generic. Enough to blend in. The living room was full. Cousins, uncles, neighbors. Everyone sipping wine or hovering around cheese platters. I spotted my mom by the fireplace, deep in conversation with Aunt Lynn, and Dad in the backyard near the grill, his precious Omega watch glinting in the sunlight. Everything was perfectly staged. Now I just needed the moment. I waited until dinner. Ryan gathered everyone to make a speech before cake, because of course he did. He stood at the head of the table, holding a glass of champagne, Dad beside him, hand on his shoulder. "Just want to say how proud I am to host this," Ryan began. "It's been a great year, and none of it would have been possible without my family's support, especially Lucas." The crowd turned toward me. I raised my eyebrows like I was caught off guard. "Yeah," Ryan continued, "this guy's been my rock. When things were tough last winter, he stepped up without hesitation. I don't know many people who'd give a loan like that. No questions asked." People clapped. Katie snorted from her seat. I stayed quiet. "And that's what family is, right?" Ryan continued. "Helping each other. No ego, no drama. Just support." The moment was almost here. Just as he raised his glass for a toast, Katie stood up. "Actually," she said loudly, "there was a little drama." The room went dead silent. Ryan's smile twitched. "Katie, sorry," she said, stepping forward, holding her phone. "I just think if we're going to talk about honesty and support, maybe we should hear all sides of the story." She tapped her phone. The audio played. Clear. Unedited. Ryan's voice. "Some of us go the extra mile for family." Dad's voice. "Wow, must have cost you $3,000." Ryan's laugh. "Worth every penny." The silence in the room was nuclear. And I was just getting started. The audio finished playing, and for a moment, it felt like the entire house forgot how to breathe. The last echo of Ryan's laughter lingered in the air, bouncing off the party decorations and the frozen expressions around the dining room. Every face in that room, family, friends, neighbors, was staring at either Katie, still standing confidently with her phone in hand, or me. I didn't stand up. I didn't need to. I just looked at Ryan. His face was tight. The charming host mask had slipped. His hand was still frozen mid-toast, champagne glass trembling slightly. And that's when I finally rose from my chair. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't scream. I just spoke. $3,000, I said, calmly, addressing no one and everyone at the same time. That's how much I pulled in cash from my bank on December 20th. I kept it in an envelope in my desk drawer because I was going to pay my landlord in person like I do every December. But on December 21st, while I was at work, Someone entered my apartment using a spare key that had been missing for over a year. I turned to face my dad. You remember that, don't you? You had a key to my place when I first moved out, and I was told it got lost. He nodded, confused. I held up a printed photo, blown up just enough for the people nearby to see. A grainy image from my apartment hallway security cam. A hooded figure entering with a key. Not enough to show a face, but the build, the walk. It screamed Ryan. This is the guy who took that money, I continued. He knew exactly when I'd be gone. He knew where I kept things. And the next day, on December 22nd, this same guy walked into an Omega boutique and spent almost exactly $3,000 on a luxury watch. I pulled out a second printout, the screenshot of Ryan's wife's Instagram story. She posted this, with the receipt in the corner. Time-stamped. Same day. A murmur rippled through the crowd. A few people whispered. Someone even gasped. I turned to Ryan. That money wasn't a gift. It wasn't a loan. You stole it. And then you used it to buy Dad a watch so you could stand in front of everyone and make yourself look like the hero. He was red now, jaw clenched, sweat beading at his hairline. But still he tried. You can't prove it was me in that video, he snapped. That could be anyone. I thought you might say that, I replied. So I brought something else. I reached into my bag and pulled out a small binder. Inside, a copy of the police report I'd filed the week prior. Just in case. A detailed timeline. Screenshots. Camera footage. Everything. I didn't go to the cops back in December, I said. Because I wanted to believe maybe I misplaced the cash. I didn't want to believe family would do something like that. But then you decided to brag about a loan I never gave you. You decided to build an entire narrative off of something you stole. That's not just insulting. It's criminal. He stepped forward, trying to snatch the binder from my hands. I stepped back. Don't, I said quietly. You've already taken enough. He froze. I'm not pressing charges, I continued. Not yet. But I filed the report and handed over the footage. I told them I was willing to hold off if you admitted it. If you paid me back. Privately. I looked around the room, meeting eyes with every family member one by one. But since you decided to keep lying, and since everyone here was dragged into that lie, every uncle, every cousin, even Dad, I figured it was only fair they know the truth. Ryan's wife looked like she was about to vomit. My mom sat in stunned silence, hand over her mouth. Katie moved next to me, not saying a word, just standing there like the world's most silent mic drop. Dad was the first to speak. Ryan, he said slowly, turning toward him, is it true? Ryan was breathing heavily. His mouth opened, then closed. He muttered. I needed help. And he never offers help unless someone asks. So you stole from him? Dad's voice rose. You broke into your brother's place and stole money, so you could play hero? So you could impress me? Don't make this about, Ryan started, but Dad cut him off. No, I will decide what this is about. You humiliated your brother. You lied to the whole family. You dragged us into a farce because you wanted to feel important. He turned to me. I'm so sorry, Lucas. I didn't say anything. There was nothing to say. For once, I didn't need to justify or explain or apologize for existing. I just stood there, steady. Ryan tried to shift blame. He turned to Mom. You knew I was struggling. You said I should do something big for Dad. That he deserved something special. Don't you dare throw me under the bus, she snapped. I said get creative. I didn't say break into your brother's home like a thief. The room unraveled. Aunt Lynn stood up and left. Uncle David shook his head and muttered something about the nerve. Even a few of Ryan's own friends, who had shown up just for drinks, started slipping out quietly. The energy shifted. All at once, Ryan wasn't the center of attention anymore. He was radioactive. He stood there, looking around like someone trying to find a single familiar face, a single lifeline. But everyone had already started backing away. And that's when I walked up to him. I pulled a small envelope from my pocket. Inside was a cashier's check, $3,000, dated 2 days ago, made out to me. This is your chance, I said, handing it to him. Repay what you stole. Not just the money, the respect. And if you don't, I walked this binder down to the station and pressed charges. His eyes flicked from me to the envelope. He took it. Didn't say thank you. Didn't even look me in the eye. Just nodded once, sharp and curt, like it hurt. I turned and walked away. Katie followed. We left the party in silence. A week passed. Ryan didn't text, but the check cleared. He disappeared from Facebook. His wife deleted her Instagram. And at Easter, Mom quietly mentioned that Ryan and his family would be skipping this year for personal reasons. No one asked why. No one needed to. People had seen what they needed to see. And while I wasn't looking for revenge to make me feel bigger, it felt damn good to finally be seen. I didn't rub it in. I didn't flaunt my garage or my comeback. I just kept working, growing, living. And one day in early May, Dad showed up at Earn Garage. No appointment. Just walked in while I was rotating a client's tires. "I need an oil change," he said casually, holding out keys to his truck. Figured I'd go to the best mechanic I know. I looked at the keys, then at him, and slowly, I smiled. "Sure thing," I said. "Have a seat." He waited in the front office, flipping through a magazine. And as I worked, I realized something. I didn't need my family's approval anymore. I didn't need their applause, their praise, or their validation. I'd built something better, something honest, something earned. And no one could take that from me again. Ever.
Arguing with a friend and they act like they can't hear you because they're arguing so strongly back at you. They really can't because of the way the brain is structured. So when you're in fear mode, anxiety mode, when you're really amped up, you just need to, both of you need to calm down, take a walk, take a break, and come back. That's what I want people to understand. And also the thing that I just shared with you earlier is that you think you are protecting your children or that you are being okay when you're doing destructive things around your young children, when that is really when literally they don't have the language, but they're taking in the energy and the frequency and they're absorbing it all.
And fifth and final question that I'm going to ask you, if you could create one law that everyone in the world had to follow, what would it be?
It would be a law that allowed for at least 12 minutes of stillness every day, just for people to calm to themselves. That's what it would be.
Thank you so much. Oprah, I can't wait to meet you. I look forward to it. And I'm so grateful for this time with you. Thank you so much. I recently had the chance to host a virtual book tour stop with Oprah and Dr. Perry. And now I want to share it with all of you. This was an exclusive event that I was invited to host. And I'm getting to give our On Purpose listeners exclusive access to listen to it right now. Thank you so much. And make sure you leave a review. It makes a huge difference to On Purpose. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us this evening. I am so excited to welcome you all to the first virtual book event for What Happened to You. My name is Jay Shetty, and I will be your host tonight, along with our friends at Books and Magic Bookstore out of Brooklyn and Semicolon Bookstore in Chicago. I feel extremely honored and grateful to have this opportunity to interview Dr. Bruce Perry and Oprah. The book came out today, so I know none of you have read the book yet, but this conversation will prepare you to truly allow this book to enter into your hearts and minds and inspire you to take out some time for stillness, to experience every single word when you read it. But I was fortunate enough to receive an early copy, and I have to tell you, it's phenomenal. The stories, the studies, and the steps inside this book will truly help you heal, build resilience, and help others that you love so much. I can't wait for you to read it. And without further ado, let me introduce you to the co-authors of this groundbreaking work. Dr. Bruce Perry is a renowned brain and trauma expert who has spent the last 30 years researching children's mental health. And of course, Oprah Winfrey, the person whom I was fortunate enough to watch growing up. And what happened to me, Oprah, was I got to see you change lives every day. So you have led the way for so many of us to benefit from the work of scientists and thinkers like Dr. Perry, whose life-changing work is the reason we're here today. Welcome, Dr. Bruce Perry and Oprah.
Excited to be here. Excited to be here, and especially excited to be here for Books Are Magic and Semicolon in Chicago, because I love going to my own local bookstores and love the support that bookstores bring to the community, and love that we are all able to be supportive of our local bookstores. Jay, so excited that you're excited about the book. I'm excited that you're excited.
I'm very excited. I'm extremely excited. And Dr. Perry, thank you so much for this opportunity.
It's my pleasure. I'm happy to be here. And I'm also excited that you like the book because